The 1990s. Okay, if you were, chances are you didn't learn about the Berlin Wall in school. If you've been watching TV lately, you've probably noticed that Trump talks about building a wall a lot. And although he hasn't given us like a set plan, I think it's really important to understand history, and more specifically the history of walls. So today I'm going to talk about the divide of Germany and the rise and the fall of the Berlin Wall. So basically what happened was, after World War II, Germany split into two halves, into East and West Germany. And East Germany was a communist country under the Soviet Union, and West Germany was a democratic country under the control of Britain, France, and the United States. Berlin is the capital of Germany, and it was under control of the Soviet Union, Britain, France, and the United States. People started fleeing from East Germany because they didn't want to be under control of the Soviet Union, didn't want to be under a communist government, and these people are called defectors. About 2 million people in a matter of 10 years before the Berlin Wall was built fled from East Germany to West Germany. So the Soviet Union starts worrying that they're losing way too many people. They start trying to prevent them from leaving. It's people and the Soviet Union trying to prevent people from leaving. Basically, it's too hard to prevent people from just crossing these borders, and that's when they decided to build a wall. So on August 13, 1961, the wall was built. And according to History.com, its official purpose was to keep the Western fascists out of East Germany, but it primarily served to keep East Germans from leaving and going to West Germany. According to the National Cold War exhibition, the wall was initially a barbed wire fence that went for miles around Germany. And then over time, and it going under construction, it turned into a solid concrete wall that was 12 feet high and 4 feet wide. I have a close family friend who lived through all of this time. She lived in Germany at this time, and she had talked to me about how the Berlin Wall basically went through residential areas, and the wall would have breaks in it, and if the wall lied on your property line, you were assigned East or West Germany residents, and sometimes you would only be allowed to leave out your back door, and you weren't allowed to leave out your front door to the other side of Germany. And if you had a neighbor who was on the other side of Germany, you weren't allowed to talk to them. So that was really bad. Like, could you imagine just not being able to talk to any of your neighbors? Over 5,000 people escaped East Germany over the matter of the 28 years that the wall was standing. And one of the most famous escapes was by Hans Strelzek and Günther Wetzel. And they built a hot air balloon and flew it over the wall. And it was like a symbol of freedom. It was really cool. Unfortunately, over 200 people were killed in the matter of the 28 years that the wall was standing. President Ronald Reagan went to Berlin and basically gave a speech that said, to the leader of the Soviet Union, we want you to tear down the wall. So do you really think the Soviet Union was like, okay? No. So actually what happened was the Soviet Union made a mistake, and they broadcasted a radio message that basically said that the wall was coming down, but it wasn't, and the Soviet leaders were saying no, no, no. And there was a lot of peaceful protests that were happening. It turned into a large rally, and one of the Soviet leaders, one of the guards, called the higher Soviet leaders and was telling them, there's a lot of people by the wall, and we don't know what to do, like there's a lot of people, and the leaders were saying, you're a coward, like you really need to deal with this, and out of frustration and out of fear, the guard said, okay, we're just gonna let people go. And so there's all these crowds that are breaking through the wall, they're chipping off the wall, and that's basically how the wall came down. That was according to the New York Times, the actual story of how the wall came down. On October 3rd, 1990 is when Germany finally reunified as a single country. And in conclusion, the symbol of the wall was a symbol of communism and inhumanity when the wall was standing. And when the wall came down, it was a symbol of freedom. So the next time you hear about a wall being built in our news, just think about the rise and the fall of the